Hi everyone, welcome to another yoga class. We are going to do a very quick 15 minutes warm up, trying to warm up most of the body. So I think let's just get started so that you can start your workout after. We're going to start seated. So I'm just sitting down and crossing my legs whichever way that feels good. Doesn't have to be a specific way. And then from here I'm just going to start pulling my arms from side to side. So I'm just moving so that I can get into my spine, getting into my back, the side of my stomach, or whatever that is called. And then when I'm going from side to side, I'm also seeing the side I arrive on, if I can even put my elbow down into the mat. And then doing that on the opposite side again. It is so hot here today. It's probably like almost 35 degrees Celsius, because that is the system that I operate in. But it's nice, we have a little bit of a breeze. And then I want you to just choose a side. My elbow comes down and I'm just leaning straight over. And I'm seeing if I can get into my lower hips, lower back a little bit. And then from here I'm taking the arm that's on top and I'm just going to place that one down on the mat. And then I'm taking my opposite one and I'm pulling, so almost like a slight back twist, pulling my arm and my torso, twisting it backwards. Just getting a little bit of a back twist in already. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to release. And I'm just going to circle my arms over to the opposite side, putting my elbow down into the mat. And then my opposite arm comes over, seeing if I can get into that opposite hip. And really seeing if I can drop the hip that's on the other side down into the mat. So not letting it lift off or come off. And then when I'm ready, I'm taking my arm that's on top, placing it in the middle of the mat, and then pulling my other arm backwards, coming into a slight back twist. And then when I'm ready, I'm releasing and coming all the way to the front again. Since it's a warm-up, we're going to do some sit-outs. So if you haven't done sit-outs before, what I'm going to do is I'm up on one arm and I have my leg out. And then I'm just going to switch. So I'm switching same arm, same leg, pulling that leg out, putting my hands to the front, and I'm switching out again. I can go as slow as I want. We're just going to do a few of these to get our heart rates a little bit up and creating some flexibility, especially in our hips. And then if it's too much, you can take a break if you want. And then just a few more. And then when you come to the long side of your mat, whichever way that is, we sit down, coming all the way down into the mat. Now from here, I'm gonna stretch my legs and I'm gonna pull my left leg into my chest. And then maybe I wanna just take my arm, wrap it around. If I want to, I can cross my opposite elbow over my knee. So I'm coming in to a little bit of a back twist. So I should have my opposite elbow with my opposite knee, and then I'm just pushing, looking backwards, taking some deep breaths. And then when I'm ready, letting go, doing the opposite side. So my left leg comes out, my right leg comes in. Either it's enough to just hug that leg. If I want to, I place my elbow on the opposite side of my knee, coming over, and then my other hand comes all the way to the back, and I'm twisting. Looking towards my back hands and breathing. And then when I'm ready, I'm releasing, coming all the way down. So what I really want to do is I want to take that same leg as I just had up, my right legs, comes pretty close in, and then I'm going to take my left hand, place it to the back. So I have this stretched and this stretched, and then from here I'm going to put weight into my right leg, and I'm just going to come off, seeing if I can go all the way to the back. And if that's too much, I don't have to have such a big stance between my legs. I can also just work on lifting my hips and coming back down again. Yeah, so this is a bit of a heavy exercise, but I'm lifting my hips. If I want to, I can add the arm. And then I'm coming all the way back down again. I'm gonna switch sides, pulling my left leg in, stretching that right one, my right arm comes back, and I'm pulling up. And then when I'm ready, I'm gonna come all the way back down again. We're gonna warm up our shoulders and back for a bit. So either I have my knees or my seated position just pulled in, and then from here I'm going to just start stretching my arms as if I'm pulling a rope down from the sky. So I'm stretching as far up as I can, and I'm just pulling and really seeing every time I stretch if I can stretch my arm as far up as it goes, and then pulling down. And 2 more times. And then when I'm ready, I come down and I relax my arms a little bit. From here, I'm just gonna roll over my knees and coming all the way onto my knees. And then from here, I'm going to place my left hand in the middle of the mat. So I'm placing my left hand, and then I'm going to pull my right hand up. And then I'm going to do a bit of a dynamic movement. So I'm just pushing it through the loop of my opposite hand, and then I'm pulling up again. Again, doing a little bit of a twist in the back. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to take this arm and I'm going to loop it all the way through. I'm going to lean down on it. And then I get to choose if I want to have my hands placed on top of each other. So I want to place it all the way over my head. But I'm really seeing if I can lean my weight into my shoulder and finding where that stretch is. And then when I'm ready, just placing my arm next to my face, pushing up, doing the opposite side. So my right hand comes into the middle of the mat, stretching my left up towards the sky, pulling it through, stretching up again. And then when I'm ready, I'm taking that arm and I'm looping it through, putting my weight on top of my shoulder, seeing if I want to have my hands together, if I want to place it above my head. And then when I'm ready, coming up again onto my all fours. Now from here, I just want to pull my right leg to the front. And then I want to see if I can drop my hip as far down into the mat as I can. And then from here, I'm just going to make circles on my foot. So the foot that I have into the mat, seeing if I can go to the outside of the foot, seeing if I can put the weight into the toes, on the side, on the heel, and just seeing what makes me get into my hip as I'm doing some slight movement just to warm up that hip as well. And then when I'm ready, pulling that back and doing the opposite side. So I'm coming forward with my left, doing the same, seeing if I can put all my weight into that front leg and making small circles, circling my knee. And then when I'm ready, pulling that foot back again. From here, I'm going to be on my knees, but I'm going to walk my knees out pretty far. And you see I have 90 degrees in my knee and in my leg. And I'm walking my knees out as far as I can. And then I'm gonna come down onto my elbows. And then from here, I'm gonna see how much I can send my hips back towards my heels. So I'm sending my hips backwards, but I don't want to have my feet pointing inwards. I want them almost slightly pointing outwards. So I'm pointing my feet almost like more than 90 degrees, pointing away from the center line, and then seeing if I can get into the hips. And then just resting. And then when I'm ready, pulling my knees and my feet back in so that my toes touch, and coming all the way down into a child's pose. And then on my in-breath, pushing myself upwards and coming all the way up to seated. And that was it for today's warm-up. I hope you're nice and warm, ready to hopefully train some jiu-jitsu or something else. And thank you for joining, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!